So this is our Hate Us, I believe, number 5.
Yeah. Is it 5?
Yeah, number 5, because we've done Steel Magnolias, Silkwood, Throw Mama from the Train,
Oh, yeah. White Christmas.
White Christmas, and now Our
this is
Souls at Night.
Our Souls at Night.
And a little bit of a sad news. This is probably going to be the last one for a while until someone else decides to
Pony up.
pony up and start making us watch bad movies. But your mom has decided she doesn't like us. She doesn't hate us enough anymore. I think us watching the movie she hates or likes or I'm very confused about how your mom feels about any of these movies.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cause she told me that it was Our Souls at Night. I watched the trailer and I said, this actually looks like it's going to be pretty good. And she's like, no, it's not. You're going to hate it. I said, well, did you like it? And she said, no, I hated it. And I said, well, that makes me feel like I might like it then. She's like, no,
I told her that too.
it's really bad. And,
I
I watched it and it was really, really bad.
It was really slow,
Yes.
really boring, and really just pointless almost.
Yep.
But to be honest, it still wasn't as bad as White Christmas.
I hated this one the most. This
Really?
one made me,
Minus the White Christmas.
this one made me angry while I was watching it to the point where I was yelling at my wife. Why would anyone turn this into a movie? Why is this a movie? Why does this thing exist? I was just yelling at her the whole time we watched
This
it.
one, to me, wasn't necessarily like just bad. It was just so boring. Boring. Oh
Well,
my gosh.
The thing that bothered me about this one again is similar to Silkwood, is that it had an interesting concept. It had an interesting idea. And the filmmaker did it terrible. Because so the idea of the movie, or the plot of the movie, is these two widowed people, is Robert Redford and Jane Fonda, are neighbors.
Yes.
They both have lost their spouses for, I don't know what. I don't think they ever said, but probably like 10 or so years, right? Like
Probably so.
something like that. Like they've been alone for a long time.
Yes.
Jane Fonda decides, she goes to Robert Redford and is like, hey, I think we should, maybe start sharing a bed together. Like we should sleep together, not in a sexual way, just in a, it'll be nice
So
to.
we're not so lonely at night.
Yeah, so we're not so lonely at night, because night is the hardest time.
Yes.
And they go on and they start falling in love, and their relationship grows and all this stuff. And I think that is such a fascinating, concept. Yeah.
It's interesting, but it's nothing that I want to actually witness. It's just like, hey, just go do that then.
Like in a movie or in real life.
Either.
Well, I think it could have been good. I think it could have been done really well.
Okay.
But the director, he's an Indian director.
M. Night Shyamalan.
I'm probably going to say it wrong. Ritesh Batra?
I've never met him in person.
Something like that. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, and I apologize, but I believe
He's listening.
I believe that this is his first American movie.
Oh.
He's got a few. The Lunchbox is one. I haven't seen it, but it's supposed to be really good.
Never heard of it.
And then he's got a few other movies that I don't know. But I think the biggest issue that this movie had, well, one of the issues that this movie had was it had no subtlety. They just beat you over the head with any point they try to make.
And the pacing was so slow.
Yeah.
Like, it took forever for anything to eat, for even the simplest scene where it's just like a conversation was drug out for so long.
Well,
That's
the reason why that happened was the editing. The editing was why it felt very
maybe
long.
the lack of editing.
Yeah, well, so generally when you edit a dialogue, you will overlap speaking. right? So if you say a line, it will cut
Slice and dice.
it'll cut to me before you finish talking. And then I'll start talking and then it'll cut to you. Like it'll overlap here and there to where it's
Right.
getting more fluid.
It flows.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of gap. They were giving complete, the camera was on every character who was speaking. Right?
Yeah, it was, imagine if you're like recording your own movie on a phone and you're just like, you're aiming at one person, you record and stop. Now to the other person who's talking and it just goes back and forth. There's no, it was real choppy almost.
Yeah. So there would be like a beat or two before someone said anything. They would say it. There'd be a beat or two. Then they would cut. Then there'd be a beat or two. Then the next person would respond. Then there'd be a beat or two. Then it would go cut back to the other. And it was just every scene took at least a quarter longer than it needed to just on the edit. And then
Part of that I blamed on just old people. It's like they just take forever to talk.
well, that was what I was going to say. And so part of it was the edit, the way they edited it all together. The other part was the dialogue didn't need to be in half of it. Half the dialogue was nonsense. There was no reason for it. Didn't progress the story
filler.
at all. Yeah, it was just this. And the idea, I think, was like, let's show real life. Let's show, real life is, it's mundane and quiet and slow and, it's like, let's really inject that into this movie, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's so boring to watch, especially when you do it nonstop.
I wanna talk about these subtleties that you were discussing.
Yeah.
And perhaps maybe my favorite one, and cause it happens in like the first 2 minutes of the movie where, okay, they want us to get the point across that these two people are alone.
Yes.
So it shows Robert Redford like eat his dinner by himself. And then he walks and then the next scene is just him washing a single fork in the sink. It's like, yes, he's just washing a fork for one. I got it. It was like, so look, he's by himself. Can't you see he's just washing one fork?
Yeah. Well, there was one moment when he's talking to his daughter on the phone where,
Oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
That felt like they didn't film those at the same time.
no. Well, he says a joke and I actually kind of laughed. I thought it was funny.
Oh, the hearing aid joke?
The hearing aid joke. The daughter's like,
Yeah.
you might want to think about getting hearing aids.
those hearing aids.
And he says, what? And he like smirks. And like, it's simple. It's not like the most creative joke ever, but it's like, oh yeah, that's, that's a good joke. And then there's like this long pause and he's like, I'm just joking.
joke.
I'm just joking. And I was like, no. And like that was the,
Okay. Well, how are you?
yeah, it completely is like, it's so clear that it was a joke. You don't need to beat it over the head. And then another one that was really bad was when they went to her son's house to take care of his son and he shows up drunk and he's, kind of like stumbling out of the car and like kind of slurring his words. And it was, the actor did a really good job, but the writing, he was like, I'm so drunk right now. And I was like, no, that was clear. You didn't have to put that in. Like,
We got it.
they just would not allow, they just expected everyone who's watching it to be dumb. And that's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I didn't care for like probably the last 30 minutes of the movie. Anything to do with the son really bothered me. It felt, I don't know, strange. And the whole resolution to that did not seem realistic.
No.
Like someone comes home that drunk. He's already crashed into this dude's truck. He's left his son home alone, who's what, 7?
7 or 8, yeah.
And now he's got his mom confronting him with her new, I don't know, we'll say boyfriend who he's already voiced his displeasure towards. This is not going to end well. This is going to end with him stumbling upstairs, pushing his mom down and taking like a drunken swing at Robert Redford before he like falls down and passes out.
Well, that's what I was telling.
Or until someone has to hit him like over the head with a pot.
I was telling my wife, I was like, "Oh, I hope this turns into like a Funny Games murder. Like he like kidnaps everyone and tortures them to death." But no, they didn't.
Or we find out that Robert Redford was like CIA and he just like systematically takes him down and
This is the next Taken movie.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's definitely not worth watching. And the
It
other,
ended with him just be like, all right, well, let's go inside. This is fine.
one of the things I was telling my wife was, I think part of the issue, and she said this is racist, and I don't think it's fair to call this racist, but just a preface.
Heads up, everybody. Here comes racism.
This might sound racist. I think part of the issue is with the director being Indian. A lot of the things, because this is an American movie, right? The characters are Americans based in America. Everything was so tropey. Everything felt like a soap opera. And it's like, if your perception of what American life is like is based off of watching TV, it makes a lot more sense why this movie would be this way. Now,
Yeah, that's true.
again, I don't know who this director is. I don't know anything about his life. He may be American. He may have grown up here. I don't think that's the case. But watching this movie, knowing it was directed by someone who is Indian, it seems like someone who is basing an American life off of bad American TV.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because there was the scene where the son walks in and is like, hey, in the hospital. He's like, hey, this is only for family. I was like, well, this isn't an emergency room. This is just a room. That's not the rules. Like, she's an adult. She can have visitors. He doesn't get to decide who's going to visit with her and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but that's what happens in movies all the time, right? Like, people are always lying about getting in or, whatever it is. Like, it's just, I don't know. It was very, very poorly done. And, which sucks because I really do think that this could have been a great movie. I think Robert Redford.
I don't know about great.
No,
it could have been better.
I think it could have been the story, the actors, everything that happened. I think it could have been a lot better. The kid, I thought the kid actor was great. I thought
the kid was great. I agree with that. I would say he was the best of the
out of everyone.
movie.
He seemed the most legitimate, and he had quite a bit of weight on his shoulders too.
Yeah, and I thought even just him and Robert Redford's scenes together were good. They worked well together.
And Robert Redford felt very wooden, flat. I don't know.
He was.
He seemed.
I don't know if that's his fault because he's
like 81.
well-known actor. He's been around. Is that just how he is at this point, or is this just what he was given?
So I thought that he signed on to do this movie and was frustrated once he saw how it was going, so he just kind of checked out.
He phoned it in.
Then I found out when I was watching the credits, he was the producer.
Oh, really?
So
I didn't see that.
Yeah. So I don't think that was the case. I think it was poorly directed and poorly acted.
I'll tell you if the kid was the MVP, I will say that the least valuable player was his daughter.
From the girl from Arrested Development?
Yeah, freaking Judy Greer.
Yeah.
Was awful. She only had like one scene.
Plus the phone call.
And then the phone scene, but it was so weird. I didn't like anything about her. And then I want to know what was the reason and the purpose of her like driving off like a freaking maniac. Like, what did that serve at all? Or did she just really want to get off the set and like she just drove home?
Yeah, she had to get out of there. Her story was awful. It didn't.
Yeah, it was really dumb.
So like we were saying, she was only in it for the one scene plus the phone call, but the phone call didn't establish anything with her character.
No.
She meets his girlfriend,
Yes.
Jane Fonda, and they're talking, and she tells him, like, you remember when I was a kid and you bought that train set and we put it together and, you know, you taught me about how you have to paint it and make it your own. Well, I'm going to Europe this is me making my own train set. And it was like this big, like, moment for her, and Robert Redford was like kind of emotional about it. But I was like, man, this girl's like 40, isn't she? How old is she? Like, she was way too old. Like, it sounded like she was 18. Like,
well, obviously she has some issues because she makes a comment. She's like, I just thought I'd come here to tell you. And my therapist said I should come and tell you.
but like, she felt way too old to be having this, like, I'm not gonna be here. You know, I have to find my way.
Also, it's not like she lived with him anyways. She could have just went. He would have never even known.
Just kept calling him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it was.
I doubt he had caller ID, so.
It was very strange. Like,
I didn't like her at all.
No. But, one of the other
things. That felt like a favor to someone for her to be in it. I don't know. I didn't like it. It bothered me. And then just the driving thing. Cause even he makes a comment, he's like, be careful. After she's like gone already. Like, why did she have to drive like that? What was the purpose? It was so dumb.
That did not stand out to me nearly as much as it did to you.
It really stood out to me. I don't know why. She's parked in the spot. She like backs out like way far and fast out of the spot, like into the street, and then just like speeds off. I was like, why? What? That's not been established that she's like a crazy driver or what? What is this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't like it.
One of the other things that bothered me about this movie was the pacing. He had brought that up earlier. Every scene, a new conflict was added. Yeah. And they never resolved an old one. You know, like the opening scene of this movie is her knocking on his door to be like, hey, I think we should sleep together. And it's like, okay, well, maybe establish characters first before you get into the plot, like the main plot of the movie.
I wish they would have like introduced them together, and then, you know, maybe they could have met during the day in town, and we see that they know each other, and then like that sparks her idea to confront or come to talk to him that night.
Yeah, or even
something like that.
Even just establish that they're lonely before you throw them into this weird premise.
Yeah, because as far as I know, they've never even met.
Well, that's as far as Robert Redford knows, he wasn't even sure. He was like, "Do we know each other?"
Yeah. Oh gosh.
But so that's the opening thing, and that is the catalyst to start this movie. Is the premise of the entire movie, which was a terrible way to open. But then they automatically go to sleeping together. Then they start talking about his affair. Then she gets her grandson moves in with her. Then they get a dog. Then the grandson gets taken away. They don't sit with any of the conflict. They just, here's conflict, here's conflict, here's conflict, here's conflict. And they just keep adding it and removing the old stuff. And it's
now everybody knows, and now he doesn't talk to his friends anymore, and people are talking, and then that lady dies, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. But the way they edit it all together and all the stuff they do, it feels like nothing happens and it takes forever.
Yep.
And it's really, really bad. It's one of the worst movies I remember seeing for a long time.
Really? One of the worst. It's definitely up there. I can't shake White Christmas. I can't shake it from my brain.
Like, this movie is worse than a Lifetime movie, I think.
It is a Lifetime movie. That's all it is. It's a Hallmark Channel movie. That's why I hate it so much. I hate those movies.
Well, this is a Netflix movie.
I know, but I'm saying it's the exact same as those movies.
But this
should have been better.
This has, I think, a much bigger budget than any of those, and it has legitimate actors, and you know, like it's got a lot more going for it, and it was still worse than I think what a Lifetime movie ends up being.
I wish that it didn't suck.
That would be nice.
That's all I can really say.
Well,
Yeah.
what do you compare this to in your actual life? What watching this movie is like what to you?
This movie, watching this movie would be like some random old person on the street, like, coming up to you that you don't know, and then they're just telling you their life story, except for nothing ever happened in their whole life, and they just told you about, like, day-to-day problems that they had.
Yeah,
And you felt really bad, like, you don't want to, like, walk off, because you know they probably have no one to talk to, so you feel obligated to sit there and listen, and maybe a good story will come out of it, and it never does.
it's like riding the bus next to a stranger who
Exactly.
it just is telling you all about their life that they don't even like.
And it feels like a punishment.
Yeah. Yeah, this was,
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
this is not, I would not recommend this movie. Not even to like, if you want to feel bad, like if you want to be annoyed, like it's just so poorly done. And I don't like to, I was talking to my wife about it when we were watching it. I was like, oh, this, the way they edit this is awful. And I don't enjoy nitpicking on, technical aspects of filmmaking because I don't make film, right? Like I couldn't do it better. By the end of this movie, I was like, I could have definitely edited this movie so much better than they did it. Like
So what would you change?
well, just even trimming it down. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
It could have been 20 minutes shorter, at least.
you've probably more than that.
Or at least put in 20 more minutes, or 20 minutes of more meaningful.
I would have cut out at least 3 storylines, you know, the conflicts.
Yeah.
Maybe just leave it with her son, and the grandson being the main conflict. Like, focusing more on that and letting that breathe more and actually affecting each other. And because that's kind of the story is her son having issues with her moving on and getting a boyfriend.
Yeah.
But what the movie wants you to think is, I don't know, because the end is she moves away. They basically break up.
Yeah.
She moves in with her
She
son.
can go live with them.
Yeah. But they continue their relationship over the phone, and that's kind of like the happy ending. But no, what a terrible message. Like, just because you're old doesn't mean your life is over. And I felt like that's what the movie was saying, was like, oh, sorry, you know, like, other stuff is more important.
Yeah, well, this is happening now.
Yeah. I always want to edit a movie down and make like a fan edit, but that's like way too much work for terrible movies I don't care about. Cause like,
You should do a fan edit for this movie.
for this movie,
Make it just like a 20-minute short film.
there you go. I guarantee you, I think I could make a more compelling movie than what they made. And
All right, so this is what we're gonna do. Since you guarantee it, you're gonna make your edit, and we will see how it does at the box office.
all right. I don't have to make more money for it to be a better movie.
It just has to be better in your opinion.
Yeah. That's all that matters. I'm some guy on the internet. Everything I say is,
some guy.
is important.
This is all true.
But, all right. Well, I think that is all I have to say about Our Souls at Night. Do you have anything else?
I have literally nothing else to say.
It was, I would not recommend it. I don't think you should go watch it. You can watch the trailer, but I feel like the trailer is much better than the movie. If you want to see why the movie is so slow, though, watch the first 10 seconds of the trailer, and you will see what I'm talking about with the way they cut the dialogue. All the dialogue is cut the same way.
Is it even like that in the trailer?
The first conversation in the trailer is exactly like that. And the whole movie is cut that way, but the trailer is voiceover and it's intercut with different scenes going on. So it feels, the trailer is much more compelling than the actual movie. So.
And shorter.
Don't base, it's like 100 times shorter. Don't base the trailer.
Equals 100 times better.
Yeah. Don't base the trailer, don't let the trailer dictate what your opinion of the movie is going to be.
Hey, you finally got it out. I think that's what you were trying to say.
Yep. All right. Well, if you would like to make us watch a terrible movie, you can go over to Patreon and choose the Hate Us category and
do it.
make us watch bad movies, and we will probably not enjoy them.